Okay, hello everyone. We have a Friday session today. It is lower body strength and conditioning. Today for equipment, I am specifically going to be using this here towel. We're going to be using it in the warm-up for some stuff sliding on the floor, as well as for some exercises as we get going through the workout. Again, using that towel on the floor, sliding. Now I understand that lots of us don't have that as an option. So of course I will give you the option that does not require the towel and the sliding floor. In addition to that, I have my mat, my 8-pound dumbbells, my loop bands, and then I am wearing my shoes because perfect, slides out, we are going to be jumping around a little bit towards the end of the workout. Darcy happening, whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, so let's get you guys started here. Where is my list of our warm-up exercises? Although I know the first one, I like to look at like the first 3. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna start you off standing up nice and tall, sticking our arms above our head like this, reaching opposite hand towards opposite foot. We will count these out, alternating legs right side and left side, going through 20 of these total, 10 per side. So the goal here is to keep the legs straight, both of them, the standing one as well as that lifting one. As we go through these reps, you might be able to kick that leg a little bit higher, but most likely we are not going to make contact with that hand and foot, and that's completely okay, because probably quite tight at this hour of the day, and that is why we are doing this stuff, to loosen us up. So we'll go through those again, 20 of them. Once you're done, we're going to get ourselves into a squat stance, hip width apart with that slight angle out on our toes. We'll get the hands behind the back, going through these prisoner squats. We have 15 reps of them, where I'm trying to push my knees out and be very active in my lower body. Thinking about pushing my knees apart, keeping my hands, elbows back behind my head. And again, we'll be going through 15 of those ones. The squats. There we go. The prisoner squats. Next one is down on the floor. So we're going to get ourselves into a plank position. High plank, hands in the toes. We'll lift those hips up into a pike, getting a nice stretch in the back of the legs. And then we'll come back down into that plank and step one of our feet in as close as we can towards that hand. And then back into the plank, lifting those hips up, stepping in as close as we can towards that hand. That's 2. We'll be doing 10 of these. So we'll get that stretch through the back of the legs, nice hip opening situation. We got one more happening here as we step in, okay? And then we'll go through those 10 of those total. Good morning, good morning. Okay. So we'll get that going on. Again, lifting and lowering those hips, stretching. Okay, 10 of them total. Once you're done, you can stand up to the top. Whew, warming up. We're gonna roll out our shoulders about 5 times backwards, 5 times forwards. Get everything nice and loosened up, lifting those shoulders up, down, back and forward through that nice big circle. One direction 5 times, and then we'll stop and we'll go in the other direction 5 times. Should feel nice, especially if you did the last couple days, these sessions. Woo. Okay, we got a couple more in this warm-up. Next one's back to a lunge, or into a lunge, I should say. We're going to step back into a lunge and then kick that leg forward in front of us, reaching our opposite hand towards the foot, going through 10 over on this side, and then we'll switch 10 over on the other side. Now, because we just did all that other stuff, you might have a better chance of making contact with that hand and foot, but same idea. We're not forcing anything. We're not bending the leg to touch those 2. We'll just reach in that direction, and wherever we are, we are. So we'll get that on both sides. And then the next one, we are going to use that towel, okay, that something slippery on your floor. It can be actual sliders if you have them, like I saw them, that's awesome. What we're going to do is use that towel on our floor here. If you do not have this, you're going to follow along doing the same thing with nothing under your foot, and we'll just be lifting and kind of tapping our foot rather than sliding our foot like this. First things first, let's put that towel underneath that first working leg, or the moving leg, I should say. We're going to stand up nice and tall, soft knee, turn to the side so you can see. We'll push our hips back in that hinge. So we'll feel tight in this leg, okay? And then we'll extend this one keeping it very light on that towel, going through 20 reps over on this side, 20 of them, and then we will switch and do 20 on the other side. The whole time, again, we're trying to maintain that tight, locked-in position with our hip. And although this one, I know it kind of seems like this one should be the working leg, it is our standing leg is the one that we are getting that work in on. So we'll go through 20 on each leg. This one is all about glute and hip activation. So we're going to feel warming up, waking up of our glute muscles, the back of our hips, the sides of our hips as we go through all 20. Now we have one more, very similar to this, but a little bit different. So once you are done both sides, and this will take a little while, we are going to switch back into the first leg, putting that towel underneath that foot. Same position with our hips. We'll hinge those hips, but this time I'm going to draw circles. So I'll go through 10 circles this direction, and then I'll stop and do 10 circles in the other direction. Same thing here. We're trying to get the work over on this standing leg. Okay, so sometimes this is something you have to think about. If you're not really feeling it that much, you might accidentally be putting too much weight in that moving leg. So we're essentially balancing. Okay, going through 10 of these circles. Again, if you don't have the towel, we're just kind of hovering, lifting our foot up. Okay, maybe a bit more balance, and then we'll switch and do that on the other side. And that's 10 each way, both sides. I see you, Adam, popping his face into the screen. You gonna join us or what? All right, so we'll go through this on both sides. By the end of that, woo-wee, we should be feeling nice and warm, ready to go in our hips, in our legs, in our glutes. And do not put your towel or your sliders away, because the first exercise, or rather the second one, is going to use that. So once you're finished that, you can shake it out a little bit. If you want to grab some water, we are going to stretch off now with our first two exercises, which are going to be all focused on the hamstring and the back of the hips, your butt. First one is going to be a weighted, with dumbbells in our hand, single leg deadlift, where I'm going to be working the balance, going through these 10 of them per side, working the single deadlift, again, preferably 2 dumbbells, 1 in each hand, 10 on this side, okay, and then 10 on this side. So that's going to be the first one. Second one, which I'll just tell you about so you can make sure you're set up correctly, is going to be a hamstring curl. So we're working those same or similar muscles, laying on our back, heels on the sliders, pulling in our butt towel or heels towards our butt. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Let's start off with this deadlift. And we are going to need our weights. So I'm going to grab both of my weights in my hands. We'll start off with our first set, holding those weights beside our hips, pushing our hips back behind us with that soft knee. And then as soon as we feel that stretch, we'll pull those hips forward. We can drive this knee up at the top. And then we do it again 10 times total. So if you do have access to heavier weights, okay, now would be the time to maybe grab something a little heavier than you want to, and you're more comfortable with, because we're only doing 10 reps, and we really do want to make that 10 feel challenging, okay, that we're not thinking like, oh, I want to do 12, 15. If you're feeling that way, we'll try our best to make it feel a bit harder on our next set. So we'll go through that. If you don't have dumbbells, I understand, not all of us do. We can have a weighted household item in our hands, or you can loop your band around your opposite foot and do your deadlift thing like that. So we'll get those going on. With this one, we have a hamstring curling movement. So I am going to be using this towel underneath my heels. All right, a little bit of this, cut off my mat, that's okay. And we are going up with the hips, going to drive my heels out while keeping my butt lifted off the ground. And then you can either try to pull your heels in with your butt lifted, or you can relax your hips, pull in, hips back up, and do this through 12 to 15, because we have a range today of these ones, okay? So we'll go through these, again, 12 to 15 of them. If you do not have the towel, okay, if you don't have dumbbells, what you can do instead of that one is our extended bridge, a little something like this. Normal bridge would be in here. Walk my feet out to here so we get that hamstring focus, because again, some of us just don't have it. So, okay, maybe you're training on something that is not slippery, and that's okay. Last way that we can do this hamstring curl, which is always an option, even if I don't mention it right off the bat, is our dumbbell hamstring curl. Okay, so This is not our first day at the rodeo doing these hamstring curls, so you most likely knew that this was an option. But this one here is where we grab that dumbbell between our feet and then we curl it up to 90 degrees. Okay, so this is the last variation that you can try, 12 to 15 of them. Now, because we are working hamstrings on hamstrings, okay, same muscle groups, we are going to take a little bit of time before we go into our next set. Okay, we'll take that 30 to 45 second range of rest right now when you're done your curls on the floor. Grab some water, okay, think about your legs, what you're feeling back there. If you're not really then feeling it where you should, here, your glutes, think about it a bit more on this next set, and you can start onto your next set. All right. So with this one, we'll start our second round. Again, that soft knee, trying to keep those weights in as close as we can towards that leg. And then we'll focus on, again, pushing those hips back behind us and then pulling the hips forward rather than just bringing the body down. Okay, the more you can think about sticking out your butt, the more you're going to be in proper form in this one. So we'll try to think about that on this set, our second one, which we will start if we have not already. Now, I was holding 2 dumbbells, but some of us have access to lots of different weights. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to hold 2, or maybe you just have like a few heavier dumbbells. You can always hold 1. Like for example, if I had, a 10-pounder and then I had like a 25-pounder, one of them, what I would do is I could hold that 25-pound weight on this side, okay, rather than having 1 on each hand, and that's completely fine because that's maybe all that you have. Rather than, holding 2 5s down here or something like that. Because again, we are only 10 per side, which means we really can crank it up a notch, do something a little heavier than we do for those higher rep ranges. Okay, so second set, let's do it. Going through these 2 hamstring curls. There we are. So we have that range as always when we are doing this range. And of course, this just depends on the equipment that you have and the weight that you have. I would prefer you to do a more challenging set of 12 than a kind of easy set of 15. All right, so still, just because you have that range doesn't mean we want to finish and, not be extremely worked at the end of the set. No matter what your range is, I'm giving you that range for a reason. So you shouldn't be feeling like, oh, I could probably do 5 more reps, okay? So if you're thinking that way, we talked about options, okay? And you know the way, slowing down, adding pauses, okay, more time underneath that weight is going to make it harder. So on your deadlift, what you can do is take more time to lower yourself down into that position. And that's going to be more challenging on everything. All right, through your entire set. By the end of the 10, you'll feel much more worked than your past set. Same thing with the hamstring curls. Okay, we'll try our best to think about where we're feeling that, and again, make it so hard that 15 is it. All right. Okay, so once we're done that second set, a little bit of rest. We have 2 more. I don't think that I specified our 4-set total, but we are working through 4 sets of this. All right, so that means you're halfway there. 2 more rounds, and then we are done these ones. Woo-hoo. All right, so third set rather, onto our first one. Back to our deadlifts. All right. So we'll work through this third set and tapping into that balance is part of the deal here. So we'll try our best not to touch that moving foot down between each rep. We're driving it up a little bit at the top, and that's going to allow you to, again, get a little bit more feeling going on here rather than kind of stopping with the leg back here and bringing it up and bringing this to a bit more of an extension. So you're going to feel it a little bit more on your third set. You're probably feeling it a lot already. All So we'll get through our third round of those single leg deadlifts. Trying your best to go right into these hamstring curls. So we'll work with, again, trying to pull your feet and point them up towards your face the entire time. We're trying to avoid this whole toe pointing situation, and that goes for any one of these versions. Okay, as soon as we point our toes like this, and we kind of keep them pointed, we're starting to use this muscle. And this is actually something that happens sometimes, is your body will, again, always want to make things easier as it does best, and it will incorporate all these other muscles to help the ones that are doing the work. And this one, your hamstrings. And so by doing this, we're taking this guy out of the picture, which you might need to do if you're feeling your calf. Okay, so if you're feeling this muscle here, that is not what you should be feeling on this one. You should be feeling back of the leg. So if you are feeling a little bit of that, most likely at some point in your rep are pointing your toes. And that can happen on the dumbbell, that can happen on the floor, okay, with a towel, whatever it is, that is going to, again, incorporate these guys. And that's not what we're working here, all right? So we'll try on this set and on our last one, because we have one more, is to kind of flex up your feet and put yourself and keep yourself in that position the whole set. The whole set of 12 to 15. All right, so we'll take this rest. Woo, it's time to feel the back of the legs, okay, back of the hips. We'll grab some water. We have one more round to go, and we have about 5 minutes to do it, which is plenty of time to get through our final set. So let's do it. Okay, back to our deadlifts, 10 per side. This is it on these ones. Of course, we have some more after this. But you already knew that. All right, so we'll work through this set here. Last round, okay, hamstrings, back of the legs. Sometimes again, you have to kind of slow down, think about where you should be feeling this a little bit more. If you're not getting it going on back there or in the back of your hips. This is your last chance to feel this. All right. 10 and 10. And then we will head down onto the floor for our final set of the hamstring curls. So we are on our final set, okay, and you had that range, 12 to 15. This is our last round. So we'll see if we can get 15 reps, okay? Even if you've been doing 12, I want you to do the same thing that you did. Whether you kept your butt up, okay, whether you were going slow, whatever it was you did on your final, on your prior set, the last one, we will do again here. And if you didn't do 15, we'll try to squeeze out those last 3 reps and add them in so that we can finish up with a last set of 15. Although they might not feel very good at this point in our lives, we'll finish up strong. We'll try our best because we know that those extra few reps, especially the ones that feel impossible and that our mind doesn't want to do, our body doesn't really want to do, those are the ones that help us actually get stronger and actually progress. Which is why I am suggesting / not suggesting you do those. Kind of forcing you to do them, not suggesting. So let's get this set of 15. Once you are done, you can grab yourself some water and shake it out. Okay, we're done these first 2 movements, and then we are on to the next 2 exercises. Yeah. Okay, so as we are coming to an end, and you can grab some water. We're going to keep all this stuff up. We're going to need it again as we move on to the next superset. So we have 2 exercises. Again, one of them is going to be a single leg exercise. So I'll start off with this one. We'll talk about it. We've been here before. We're going to be working with our skater squats. So we're dipping into a lower rep range, quite low. We're doing 6 of these per side. Okay, so everything's nice and warm from those first 2 exercises, nice and active in our glutes. So we're going to be working with 6 reps of these skater squats, or preferably doing them like this, where I lower myself down and then I pull myself up without any use of that back leg. Now, hopefully I made that look easy. It's not easy, okay? And for some of us, it's going to be borderline impossible. So if you try this and it's not happening, whether you aren't quite there in terms of strength, or maybe you have some pre-existing stuff going on in your knees that makes this not feel so good, you can try a couple of things. Number one is not doing the up. So you can lower down and then use your foot to kind of help you on the way up, because the up phase is the hard part. Okay, number two is you can find something like this here, throw pillow. We still got the Christmas cushions out here. We're going to lower ourselves down to that pillow and then pull ourselves up, which is going to elevate the floor and make this feel a lot easier, because we're not going through such a big range, okay? And you can stack pillows. You make that as high as you want to make this feel comfortable yet challenging, all right? So we'll go through these, 6 and 6. Yes. It's kind of nice doing 6 per side, okay? But again, we're doing that so that we can really tap into the strength and challenge ourselves. Try to do these nicely through our 6. Now, once we're done, we're going to grab onto some weights for the second one. I'm going to use my 2 8-pounders, front loading them up, getting myself into a sumo stance. So I have this wide positioning in my feet, toes pointed out. We're going to sit ourselves down into a sumo squat and then stand all the way up to the top. Going through 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up, 15 reps. Okay, no range, no options. We're doing these sumos, trying to push our knees out to the sides to avoid any kind of this. Okay, doesn't look good, doesn't feel good. It's not good for your knees. So the more you can drive your knees apart and put them out over your pinky toes, the more safe your knees are going to be and the more you're going to get for your hips in this one, which is what we want. So we'll get going through these, again, 15 of them, trying to get down to 90 and then all the way up. The only reason why I wouldn't sit so low, again, is if I had sore knees or sensitive knees that don't like to sit that low. In that case, that's okay. But for everyone else, we'll try to get our butt down there for 15 reps. Woo! Okay, now once you've done these, we will take some rest. Same amount as the first superset we did, about 30 to 45 seconds, which you probably might feel like you need if you're starting to think about doing those skater squats right after you did those sumos. You're probably like, okay, this is going to be really hard. So we'll give ourselves and our legs about 30 seconds to rest. And that way we can have a stronger set and also a safer set, okay? Because we are doing that low rep range. We are really using the strength in our legs. And that strength operates better with some rest before we go into these sets, right? Rather than when we do like sets of 15, that kind of thing, we don't necessarily need as much because we're not going to be challenging our muscles as much, all right? So that's my little disclaimer, the reason why, even if you're feeling antsy, you should take this time to just breathe a little bit and go into our next set, okay? We have 3 more, 4 of them total. Woo! Back to this first one, these skater squats. There we are. Let's do that. Okay. Skater squats. Do they ever get easier? Yes, they do. They do get easier. Okay, but your body will not get better at them if you do not specifically do them. And although we do throw them in, oftentimes it will kind of give them to you as an option. But today, we do them. Okay, I'm trying to get stronger at these and force ourselves to do 6 of these as properly as we can per side. All right, so second round, we'll get this done. Working through this. Now, a couple other things that you could try on those skaters if you still, like it's not happening, okay, it's still really challenging for you. You can try front loading a weight and holding something in front of you. It doesn't have to be heavy, like an 8 or 5-pounder, and then you can go through this. And for lots of people, this weight, although yes, it's adding like 8 pounds to your weight to lift up, but the way it is, the counterbalance that it provides actually makes this feel a lot more possible and manageable for some people. Not everyone, but it is something that you could try. It might help you out to get those reps in. Okay, so we'll get through our second round of sumo squats. Now, if you don't have bands, okay, you can add this band, or sorry, if you don't have dumbbells, you probably have bands, right? And if you don't, that's okay, you don't need the band, but if you have it, we can add it around our knees like this and have that nice banded action around our knees as we go through our sumo squats. Okay, ideally, again, I want you to front load weight, something in the front here. By holding something in the front, everything through here has to work a lot harder, which is the whole reason holding it up here and not down here. Okay, so ideally we want something here, but if you don't have that, and band up, you can try that instead. Woo! All right, so rest, water. Great time to get your water in. I'll take this time. Okay, 2 more rounds of this. Okay, skater squats, sumo squats, squats, squats. And we are done. After 2 more sets. Done these ones. All right, so again, we'll take this rest. Take some deep breaths. Get yourself mentally prepared for your 3rd set. So especially on something like this, okay, these skater squats, they're very hard, they're very demanding. If you have one side that is weaker than the other, I would highly suggest you just start on that side. Get that side done, okay, so that way you don't end up making the imbalance that you would probably have if you feel like one side is harder than the other, any worse, okay? Because if you always give in and kind of start on your easy side, you know, maybe you're not even thinking about it, but if you give in all your fresh energy on that first side to the stronger side in your legs, then your weaker side, or your less strong side, is never really gonna have a chance to catch up to that other side. You guys always hear me talking about my right side and how it is way less strong than my left side, which is ironic because I'm right-handed. But it's just something that I know. So I always start with my right side on my lower body, and that way I give that energy in hopes of one day my strength being even on both sides. But it's completely normal, and it happens to all of us. But if you are aware of it, you will not make it any worse. So it's something you can think about on your last set after this one, because you have 1 more. You probably finish up your skaters. If you have not started, then you should probably start. You can get going on our 3rd set. Okay, finishing off again with those sumo squats. And we're trying to think about pushing the knees out, or something else you can think about is kind of spreading out the floor with your feet, with your knees, trying to pull everything apart. Which is going to, again, avoid that whole knee caving in situation and use everything on the outsides of your legs and hips to do these squats. Burning legs. All right, so we have 1 more round to go after this one. Take this rest. Ooh, we need it. And then we'll finish off with our final set. After this, we have 2 more exercises with a strength, and then it's conditioning time. Woo-hoo. Okay, so we'll take some deep breaths. Legs, legs, legs on fire. Right, we will try to finish up this final set as strong as we can. All right, this is it. 6 of these per side, followed by our sumos, okay? And then we are done these ones. Let's do it. Final set. Okay, this is it. So we'll finish strong here, going through these 6 of them, followed by our 15 of our sumos, okay, and then, woo, we're going to be done this part. We have about 2 minutes to finish up this part, this last set. Just plenty of time, just enough time for you to finish, and maybe even have a bit of time to rest, calm your life, and shake out your legs, okay? So again, we'll try our best to get the most that we can out of this final set by pushing our knees out to the sides. Okay, if you found then like you were feeling you finished, you can keep going. We'll try to slow it down a little bit on this last set. Be very active in our lower body. Okay, try think about what you're feeling. Woo! And then you are done these ones. And we are going to move on to the last one. The. Okay, so as you are finishing up, hopefully you feel good. We'll grab some water. Shake it out. This is our last part coming up next for our lower body strength. And we have 2 exercises that we are going to do in a superset, same style as this, except there is no rest, no time in between. We will just be going back to back between the 2. Okay, so again, rest it out, a little bit of water. We have about less than a minute to finish up, and then we are going to get you started on this final superset, which will need a wall for some form of a wall sit. Okay, so if you have to kind of make space for that or find space for that, I'm telling you that right now, we are going to be sitting into a wall sit. Now, some of us don't have this as an option because we don't want to sit on our nice wall in our houses, or maybe we just don't have a wall that we can sit against. And if that's the case, that's okay. You are going to sit in a squat like this instead, okay? So that one is going to be our first exercise, and then our second one, which I'm just going to explain, we're not going to do it yet, is going to require 1 to 2 of our glute bands. We're going to be laying on our back, banding up our knees, doing a hip bridge. Okay, so we will talk about that one when we get there, but I want to tell you so that you have your bands close to your mat. Let's start off with this wall sit. Okay, so what we're going to do for this one, if you're joining me on the full-on wall sit, we're going to narrow up our feet a bit closer than we normally have them. We can place our hands on the wall behind us. Core is strong so that our lower back is pushed against the wall. Nice and strong here, 90 degrees. Can't quite see that, that's okay. And then we're counting these leg extensions. So that's 1, 2, okay, 3, and we're going through these 20 total, 10 per side, where I'm extending this leg up and then putting it back down. Now, if this is too hard, what you can do instead is lift the toe like this, 1, 2, 3, okay, count out your 20 like that. And of course, if you are not against the wall, you're holding your squat, we're going to count pulses instead, okay? You can count up to 20 like this, and you'll get that same or similar work in your quads as extending the legs. All right, so we'll start our first set. If you have not already, let's get into it, and let's do it. First round, okay? Starting off with these leg extensions. 20 total. Now I'm holding the wall like this, which is going to make it easier for me to keep my body from swaying, because that's part of the deal here. If you want to make this a bit harder, you can lift your arms off of the wall. You can also widen up your feet. Okay, so this is going to be really challenging to keep your body from shifting because of the way the feet are. By having them closer, by holding the wall, it's going to be a lot more manageable. Okay, woo! Burning quads. So that's our first one. So we will start it, get into it, get through it. All right. And then, woo, once we've done those, we will peel ourselves off the wall. Think about how much we're feeling in front of our legs here, that lactic acid, that burning sensation, that is the goal. What we're going to do, I'm going to use 2 bands. Okay, so I'll take 1 and put it above my knees like this, and then I'll take 2 and put it below my knees like this. If I only had 1 singular band, I would put it above my knees. This one's black, but it is above my knees here. If you don't have a band, you don't necessarily need one. You can follow along doing the same thing with no band, but having these bands around my knees are really going to crank this up a notch and make this feel a lot more challenging. We're in a bridge position on the floor, laying on our back. First thing we want to do is push our lower back into the floor. We'll drive the hips up to the top. When we get to the very top, I'm going to open twice, and then I'll pull my hips back down. Exhale, push them up. 1, 2. While I'm doing that abduction or that opening movement, I'm trying the whole time to keep my hips lifting and lifting so they never fall, especially when I'm opening. And then I bring them down between each rep, touching my lower back, not my butt. Okay, so we're doing 10 of these total. Hips up, 1, 2, hips down, that's 1. 1, 2, okay, that's 2, That's 3. So we'll go through these. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And if you don't have the bands, you're going to follow along doing the same thing with no bands. Okay, 10 of them. Ha! And then we're doing it again. Okay, so we're back to the wall sits. So you can get yourself up there. And the nice thing about this last superset is we're doing 3 rounds. Okay, so you have 2 more sets total. Then we are moving on to the last part, reconditioning. Okay, so 3 sets. Let's make these last 2 count as best we can. We're going into our wall sit. Like I said, there is little to no rest in between these sets. So we'll try to go right into our next one, back into our wall sit leg extensions, counting out our 20 reps. And then back into the floor. Okay, 2 more rounds. And then it's conditioning time, cardio time. Okay. So we'll work through these 2. There we go. Very nice. Okay, while sitting. So we'll get through our second set again because we are kind of using different stuff, which you feel. Okay, on the wall sit, you're probably feeling this. Okay, your quads, the front of the legs, because those are the ones that are doing most of the work in this one, especially for extending our legs. Whereas on that hip bridge, you should be feeling way more of that work happening in your glutes. You might feel a bit of stuff in here, mostly because we just did that wall sit before, but most of the feeling should be in your glutes and your back side. So you have 1 more set. We'll finish up our 10 down there with that double abduction. And then we have our last round, our last set of these 2. Okay, back into this wall sit with these leg extensions, which are way harder than they look. Seeing these done, you're like, okay, and then you try to do them and you like kind of fall over. That is the goal, is for you to kind of find a way to make this feel more manageable, which I talked about by bringing your feet together makes a huge difference. So final set, let's do it. Okay, we have about 2 minutes until we should be starting to kind of talk about the conditioning, because we have to start in about 3 to 4 so that we have enough time for all of it. Okay. Okay, so our final set of these 2, I'm just setting our timer up for our last part. There we go. Okay, this is it. Okay, hip bridges with that abduction. We'll really think about sides of the hips, what we're feeling. If you're using 2 bands, probably feeling this no matter what. It's those of you who don't have bands, or who maybe have like 1 band, you might have to take your time a little bit more, think about it a bit more to feel it. All right, so what we're going to do for the next part is, first off, when you are done that, you can grab some water once again and rest a little bit. We have to start in about 4 minutes technically, so that we finish on time, but we will be starting in about 2. So I'll give you 1 more to finish up these 2 exercises, and then we are going to start talking about our final circuit of the day, of the week, which is all about our conditioning. Okay, so the goal here for this last part is to get your heart rate up. That is the goal. You're gonna feel your legs, you're gonna feel your core probably, okay, but the ultimate goal here is your cardio conditioning. So what we're doing today is we're following a time format of 60 seconds per exercise. So we're going to be spending 60 seconds or 1 minute on 4 different movements with no rest in between. Okay, so we have to hustle transitioning between each exercise, but we do get rest once we're done the very last one. Okay, so we're going to have 4 exercises, 1 minute each, and then we'll have 1 minute of rest That means each round is going to take us 5 minutes, okay? We have 3 sets, all right, total, and then we are done. So I'm going to talk about these movements because there's going to be no time to talk about them when we start our first set. We have 3, so we have to make sure they all count. The very first one is going to be a weighted reverse lunge. So we're going to hold weights in our hands like this, down by our sides, and we're stepping back into a lunge, and we're going through this for 60 seconds, okay? So this is that little leg burner I said is going to be in here. The first one. So we're working with these alternating lunges, right side, left side. Once we're done that, the second minute is going to be our 90-degree hold with our knee lifts. So we can do this one in place, just standing here like this. We can travel. Okay, we'll talk about that one as we get into it, but that's our second one. The last 2, we don't need that equipment. So I'm going to put my weights down. Third one is going to be our lateral bound, where I'll be jumping side to side, bounding myself right and left. Okay, we've done that one before. And then the final one is going to be a walkout. And at the very bottom, we have a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then we walk up to the top. Okay, so I know that was quite a bit of info, but I want to kind of give you a little bit of what to expect as we start and as we go through this. Okay, I will talk about those and re-explain them, but we are going to start off with that first one, weighted reverse lunges. So grab your weights if you have them. If you don't, of course, you can just use your body weight. We are starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, no beep, but that timer did start. So let's do it. Hopefully we'll get a beep on the next one. All right, so let's go through our first set of these lunges. Now again, we're doing these with weights today, so you can really choose how hard you want to make them, right? Of course, if you don't have access to lots of different weights, we'll simply just try to speed ourselves up. But if you do have heavier weights, you can grab them. Try to use them for this. By the end of this minute, you're probably going to feel the same as someone who's kind of just going fast because those weights are heavier. 20 seconds left. Let's see if I can get this beat going here. All right, so keep going here, breathing through these, working through 10 more seconds of them. Again, alternating right side, left side, 5 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and right into the next one, my friends. So we're lift them up to this 90-degree, and we're trying to lift our knees up in line with our hips while keeping our core nice and strong. So the whole time I'm pulling in my belly button, and I'm trying to hold these here, which is the hard part. Now, if your weights are a little bit too heavy, you can always put one down and hold one sideways like this, okay? Or you can swap that weight for a towel or a band instead when we're working through these ones. But again, the weight will influence how hard this is. Which you'll probably feel, and which you are feeling if you are using dumbbells right now. It's really hard to keep them up there, especially for this long. You have 20 seconds left, though. We'll just try to breathe. Keep them still. 90 degrees. You got this. 10 seconds. Okay. 3, 2, 1. And we will put those weights down. Put that band down. Come on over to one side of your mat. And we'll work with these lateral bounds. Opposite hand, opposite foot. Trying to jump ourselves as far as we can, as powerful as we can, and landing softly on each side. If you're low impact, if you don't jump, we'll just take a wide step and have that tap on the outside like this. Okay, you can also do this if your legs are not going to make it. Okay, if your legs are so tired from everything that we just did, but you still want to get your heart rate up, you still want to work that cardio, this is something that you can try, even if you have to kind of finish up your set with that. 20 seconds left. I prefer that over you just stopping. Nobody wants you to stop. 15 seconds left. Oh, yeah. Okay. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And last one. Come on to the end of your mat. Shoulder width apart in the feet. We'll walk down to the bottom. When we get down here, opposite arm, opposite leg. If you can't quite get that, you can just do legs, and then we'll walk back up to the top. Woo! And do it again, okay? So we're going through this one a little bit slower paced, but again, the goal here, getting the heart rate up, so hopefully you're feeling that way. You can just simply move faster, try to move your hands faster, but more importantly than speed in this one is control. We want to be controlling everything so that we're not just kind of getting down there by accident. We're intentionally walking down, lifting up those limbs, walking back up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. 10 seconds. Okay, when this 10 seconds is up, we have 1 minute of rest. Woo! And then we have 2 more sets. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay, rest. So this is your time to yourself, all right? The next minute here, which has already started, is your rest time. So what you can do is move around the space that you have. We know that that movement usually helps us feel better, kind of cool down a little bit more efficiently than us just sitting or standing in the same place. Grab your water, okay? Drink it up, get it in, because in 30 seconds, we are going to start our second set, okay? So again, we have 3 total. You can probably see why. These do take quite a bit to get through, but we are going to go through 2 more of them. Okay, so 15 more seconds here for you to breathe and get yourself ready for our second set of those lunges. Okay, so we'll grab onto those weights if you're using them. Deep breath. And here we go, second set. So we're back into our reverse lunges. So we'll try again. Push our hips back. Allow that upper body to come forward slightly so that we're not kind of pushing our knee forward, but we're rather pushing our butt back. Okay, try to get that going on here through the next 30 seconds. Okay, standing up nice and tall at the top, switching legs, and again, thinking about the back of the hips, doing the work here. 20 seconds left. You got this. You do. Okay, breathing into these last few reps. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and up they go. And here we go. So into these 90-degree lifts. And the hardest part here is holding these weights up. If you need to rest, okay, especially on the second set, it's going to be harder than the first. If you're not going to make it in terms of your shoulders, because that's probably where this is going to get hardest first, you can put yourself into an overhead position. My arms are just over my head like this. And kind of rest them up there a little bit. When you're feeling ready, bring them back down. Rather than resting them here or actually letting them all the way down, that overhead position, although it might seem like a lot to push those weights over your head, it's a lot easier to hold up here than it is down here. Okay, you can try it out for yourself if you would like. 20 seconds less than to go on this one. So we'll try it again. Make sure that 90-degree angle stays. Eyes are between the wrists. Oh, yes. Okay, getting ready to put those down in 3, 2, 1, and down they go. And we're into the next one, which is our lateral bound. Okay, so onto our second set of these ones. Again, we're trying to land as softly as possible. And again, you can really make what you want this one. I've talked about this before. You can sit lower on this leg and use more of this actual leg muscle to push ourselves off. Okay, or you can use a little bit less and use more of like this lower leg muscle, your calf, to just kind of hop yourself side to side. If you're going to go faster without going low, okay, again, the goal here is to get your heart rate up. So in this one, you want to move in quickly the whole entire time. Okay, 15 more seconds of it. Let's do it. So let's go, let's go. 3, 2, 1. All right, walk out with those opposite lifts. So we'll come out to the end of our mat, down to the bottom, an arm and leg, and then we'll walk up to the top. Woo! Let's do it. 40 seconds left. You got it. So that opposite arm leg lift is another one. That sounds kind of simple, and you go to do it, and you're like, whoa, that was actually really hard. So it's not happening, and you kind of flop all over the place when you try it. Start with just your legs, okay? Because it's almost just as hard to lift up a leg, and once you've mastered lifting up that leg, the arm's not far off, because this really comes down to that core stability, stabilizing your hips from shifting and tilting. Okay, 10 seconds left. We have one more set after this, but before that, it's a minute of rest, and it starts in 3, 2, 1, rest. Okay, so this is your time to rest, to breathe, to walk it off. All right, we have one final set after this, and then we are done for the day and for the week. So we'll grab water. Okay, we're going to have our final set. This is the most important set, okay? This is when you're starting to get quite tired. You probably already were tired, okay? But this is the time where we want to try to push ourselves the hardest because we're going to be feeling more tired no matter what. And it might just take a little bit more effort even to do the same thing that you did on the last set, okay? 15 seconds, so we'll take some deep breaths. Grab those weights, okay? 10 seconds, we are gonna start on these lunges, and this is our last set of these ones. I think we can handle this. Let's try it, starting in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Okay, so last set, starting off with our alternating lunges and working with these ones, trying to move quickly, but again, with as much control as possible. Final set. There we go. Okay, halfway there. 30 seconds left. Nice work, my friends. We'll finish strong here. And exhaling every time we come up and out of that lunge. Woo! 10 more seconds. You've got this. A couple more on each side. And then we go into those 90-degree hold lifts in 3, 2, 1, and we'll pick up those weights and go right into it. It's actually the hardest one, right? I mean, the most burning, maybe because we have a little bit of residual from the shoulder upper body work that we did earlier this week, but also just because it's just hard to hold our arms up in this position, especially if we are having a weight. But this is the kind of stuff that's very useful in real life. If you think about the stuff that you have to do, sometimes we do have to hold stuff in weird positions and walk with it. And, you know, kids are up there and lifting dishes up and all that stuff. So 30 more seconds for you to feel this burn, okay? And that is happening for a reason. We're looking for that burn. So if you're feeling it, that means you're doing a good job. We'll try to just work into it. 15 more seconds. Can you hold it here? I think you can. It's not going to be easy, okay? Maybe a couple bad words come out. That's okay. Hopefully no one's home. 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1, and put them down nicely. I know you want to chuck them right now. Going into our lateral bounds. Okay, last 2 exercises, and we are done here. Okay, so we'll finish strong going into our 3rd set of these bounds. Okay, if you're low impact, high impact, doesn't matter what, you're moving quickly, quicker than you did on your last set. And pacing yourself so that you can hold whatever you're doing right now for 30 more seconds. Because that's all you got to do on this one. The legs, the legs. There we go. Okay, so strong finish. 15 more seconds left. We'll try to get there and back 5 more times. Oh, yes. Gotta work for that. Let's go, let's go. 10 seconds. Come on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right, come on down to the end of your mat. And let's do it. Our final set of this walkout. Woo! Opposite arm, opposite leg, lifting. Let's go. last set. So again, trying our best to at least lift a leg or an arm, okay, one at a time. If you can't do both, 30 more seconds. Try to keep moving in and out of this plank position. Breathing as we go through 20 more seconds to the finish line. Okay, we'll see if we can get 1 to 2 more of these in. Moving efficiently, not rushing though. We'll take our time, especially as we're lifting. Okay, 10 seconds. Ooh, we are almost there in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay, you can walk yourself up for the very last time because you and we are done. Woo! So grab yourself some water. Walk it up. Okay, take a couple minutes to yourself right now to rest, recover, let your heart rate come down. Okay, I am going to show you and leave you with a few stretches that I would highly suggest that you do at this time in your life. But before you join me on these, I want you cool. Okay, I want you to be able to have a conversation. So if you're feeling really hot and heavy, please take a couple minutes to yourself. Move around the space that you have. Drink your water. Take some deep breaths. Okay, you can watch me up here. What I would like you to stretch out today, first thing is the back of the legs and the calves. Okay, so this is the one for the calves where we take that lunge forward. So we can stay here for 30 to 60 seconds, just focusing on stretching that calf, back of the leg. So we can do this on one side, and we can switch and do it on the other side. Okay, this one I would suggest you do because we did a lot of jumping around today and earlier this week. Okay, your calves, these muscles, and it's everything that kind of runs down the back of your heel. It gets tight quite easy, and it just overall operates better if we keep that level of flexibility in there. Okay, so we'll stretch it out, back of the ankle, back of the calf, a minute on each side. Okay, 2 more, glutes, butt, the hips. Okay, this one is the one. Now there's other ones you can do. You can put your foot against the wall and pull it, or not have to pull it in, or you can reach through and pull it in like this. You can also flip around and do this one instead. The sun is coming in. This one is just another option instead of that other one that's going to give you that nice glute stretch. It'll actually be on the left side over here. Okay, so same thing here. 1 minute. Last one that will feel really good and also help overall just loosen up all of the stuff that we did today and this week is this one here. So this one is our hamstring and lower back stretch where we sit into this position. Are my legs in? Yes, they are. Feet pointed up, and then we can walk our hands forward. Okay, working with a straight back to get the stretch in the hamstrings, and then a rounded back to get the stretch in the lower back. So just turn to the side. See a little bit so we can straighten out our back and walk forward. Hold this for about 30 to 60 seconds, and then we'll get that stretch down the back of the legs, and then you can round, okay, and you'll get stretched through the lower back. So anything else, okay, I would suggest you do those 3, but if you want to do any other stretches, maybe a bit more direct for your hamstrings, your lower back, feel free to do them right now, okay? But you guys are done with me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in the Zoom room. We have Bobby, Darcy, Allison in here. Woo! Hopefully you all feel amazing. And if you don't, you will after you shower and eat and all that. Have a great day, my friends. I will see you next week on Monday, and have a great weekend. Okay, bye. And of course, if you are watching the replay, please let me know you're here by dropping a comment below so I know you did this. Okay, bye.